Ma'am, you can start now.
Yeah. So very good evening to one and all. So as we have seen the Jwara first part in the last class, continuing with the Chikitsa part now. I have already told you the Jwara Chikitsa Sutra. What is the Taruna Jwara Chikitsa Sutra? That is Langanam Svedanam Kalo Yavagu Stiktako Rasaha Pachanani Avipakvanam Doshanam Taruna Jware. So here I have explained you what is Langhana. So Langhana here there are two types, that is Vamana as well as Langhana, where Bahudosha Avastha is there, Utklishta doshas are there, Kapha Pradhanata is there, then we will go for directly the Vamana, wherein the Purva karmas are not required. It will be just a Sadhyo Vamana. And if Shesha doshas are there, then we will be going for the Langhana. And later on to the Svedhana, that is by the intake of Ushna Jala or Shadanga Pani, etc. And then is the Kala, that is the Kala is always it is Ashtahamiral, that is the self-limiting jwaras. By the 8 days it will relieve. That is one thing. And during this time, till the 8 days, what we have to take, that is Yavagva Tiktako Rasaha. That means here the Yavagu preparations will be given to the patients by adding the Tikta Rasa Dravyas, by adding the Jwarahara drugs or the Tikta Rasa drugs will be added to the Yavagus and then will be giving to the patient. So again, there is one more thing here. The Yavagu is having very good, properties, which is Jwarahara. It is like a prana, because it is having the Ahara Bhava in it and it is having Drava Bhava, so that it is like jwara, and the other properties are like jwarahara, etc. But so for few people it is contraindicated. In such cases we will be going for the yusha preparations. Okay, so then or the tarpana preparations, especially yavagu, when it is contraindicated we will directly go for the tarpana preparations. So after the tarpana, then by the time of 8 days the patient will be regaining its bala, his or her bala. Then they will be going for the normal type of food, then by the 8th day of the jwara. So by the time if the patient relieved from the jwara, then we will be giving the normal diet after 8 days. So in between that, if the patient feels so much of weakness in them, then if the patient's agni is good, then even we can give the rasa. Here is either mamsa rasa or it is like a mudga yusha. Those who are habituated to mamsa rasa, then mamsa, then give mamsa rasa, or it will be like a mudga yusha. So these are the things which will be helpful for the avipakwa dosha to become pakwa. Okay. So that's why pachanani avipakvanam doshanam tarune jware. So all these the different methods are mentioned, like the langana, svetana, the kala, that is ashtaha, and the tikta yavagu preparations, as well as the tarpana or the mamsarasa prayoga. All these things will be helping the patient to regain his bala, as well as for the pachana of the avipakva doshas. Okay, so this is the Taruna Jwara Chikitsa. I think we have gone through all these things. Ushna Jala Mahatva and all. Then Vamana in Jwara also explained. And if Vamana is contraindicated, still when it will be contraindicated means when the doshas are there in the all over the body. That means if whenever we do vamana or virechana, we need to take the doshas into the koshta. So when the doshas are not in the koshta, but still it is in the shakas, when we forcefully try to remove it out, then it will have the adverse effect on the body. So that is what we have discussed previous class. And now coming to the Yavagupana. So that is what I was telling you, like the Yavagu preparations. There are specific Yavagu preparations he is mentioned. Out of that, some 10 Yavagus are very, very important, which are very simple and which can be given to the patient and which can be easily available also. So he is specifically, he is mentioning here, Vamitam Langitam Kale Yavagu Birupacharet Yatasu Aushada Siddhabir Manda Purvabhiraditaha Yavat Mradubhavat Shadaham va Vichakshanaha. So here he's telling Vamitam Langitam Kale Yavagu Birupachare. That means the patient, after being given with the Vamana therapy, he is on fasting. That is what I told. Because here why Vamana came means maybe it is a dosha utklishta avastha, kapha pradhana dosha, and which is in the urdhva amashya. In such condition, we will be giving vamana. And vamitam langitam. So then shesha doshas, once again we will go for the langana. Langana in the form of either complete abstinence from the diet or it may be a very light diet. And then kala. So vamitam langitam kale yavagu virupacharit. So after the vamana, after little bit langana, then give yavagu preparations. So he's telling yatasu aushadha siddhabir manda purvabir aditaha. Even before that, the patient can be given with the manda, etc. to the means after the vamana, that is the manda, peya, vilepi, etc. will be given to the patient, isn't it? So similarly here, that can be given before the intake of yavagu preparations. And yava jwaram mradu bhavat shadaham va vichakshanaha. This till the patient gets the mradutva of the jwara. That means the relieving the jwara will become till it becomes mild. So till that time, the person can be take this particular yavago preparations. Okay. And he's telling what is the importance of yavago or what is the benefits of yavago. Tasya agnir deepyate tabihi samidbhiriva pavakaha tamscha Beshaja Sanyogat Lagutvat Agnidipanaha. So here Tasyagnir Dipyate Tabihi Samudbiva Pavakaha. That means this will act as a samid or it is like a fuel. So that means the addition of the fuel will always, it accelerates the fire. Similarly, the digestive fire or the Agni will be stimulated by the intake of this particular gruel, that is the Yavagu preparation. So that means he is telling Tasyagnir Deepyate Tabihi Samitpiriva Pavakaha. Why the Yavagu is indicated in this particular condition means as we know the jwara is the rasa pradosha cha vikara, isn't it? That means rasa is the rasa dhatu is completely involved or the whatever the agni is there in the jatara, it has been taken to the exterior of the body. So there is no agni in the jatara now. Whatever the food we take, even if it is very lagu also, it may be having very difficulty to get digest. So that is why we have to slowly improve our agni with a very light diet like yavagu. That's why he's telling this particular yavagu preparation will be causing the agni deepti like the samit or the fuel. Okay. Tasyagnir deepyate tabihi samadhiriva pavakaha tamscha beshaja sanyogat. So whenever we give yavagu, also add some of the jwarahara drugs or something like a the ajamoda or the pipali. So all those things can be added or nagara, which will once again improve the digestion. So beshaja sanyogat lagutvacha agnidipanaha. So the here, so it will further stimulate the agni due to the addition of the drugs to the it. Okay. And next he is telling Vata Mutra Purishanam Doshanam cha Anulomanaha. Here, one more important is in this particular Yavago, when it is added with some of the important drugs, so then it will become it will have the Anulomana property like Vata Mutra Purishanam Doshanam cha Anulomanaha. It is, we all experienced that when the jwara comes, how it will be, isn't it? Once there is no svedana or sweating at all, or even with 1 or 2 or 3 days because of the shroto rodha, there is no proper elimination of vata, mutra or purisha. So even if no people will be having like the abdominal distension or anaha, etc. In such condition, something which is anulomana in nature, something which is like no vatahara or mutrala or which is like a like purisha anulomana, then definitely 50% of the what you can call the difficulties will be relieved. So that is why being yavagu being the anulomana in nature, by addition of certain drugs to it, it will be more helpful or it will act as a anulomana. And then Svedanaya Dravotvatvat Dravatvat Krit Prashanti. It is being liquid and it is hot. It also will be helps in the sweating, because we know as there is a Shrotoroda, there will be Sveda. Sveda will not be happening, isn't it? So Sveda Avarodha will be there. So that will be cleared by the Yavagupana. And then being watery in nature, it is also helpful in alleviating the thirst. So that is the importance of Yavagu. And in continuing with that, he is telling Ahara Bhavat Pranaya Saratvat Lagavayacha. So he's telling because Yavagu is having certain the gruel, isn't it? So that particular gruel in the form of rice or whatever it is, so that is having the ahara bhava, like the some, little bit the food components are there. Because of its ahara bhava, it will act as a like a prana, because the patient will be having instant bala after taking this particular yavago. And saratvat laghavayacha, because it is little bit watery, and because of that it is laghu in nature. Jwaragno jwarasatmyatva tasmat peyabhiraditaha. So it is also having the jwaragna property, and also it will be helpful for the, or it will be wholesome for the patients with jwara. So that is the importance of yavago. But this particular Yavago is also having the contraindication. To whom it is contraindicated? Specifically, he's telling that Jwaran Upachare Dhiman Anrute Madhya Samutitan Madatiye Madhyanitye Grishme Pitta Kafadike Urtvage Rakta Pittecha Yavagurna Hitajware. So he's telling Jwaran Upachare Dhiman Anrute Madhya Samutitan. So here one thing is which the person who is already taken alcohol, or who is continuously taking alcohol without any control, or who is intoxicated with a alcohol intake. So that means Madhya Samutita and Madate, Madhyanitye and Grishme, and that means in the hot season, as well as Pitta Kafadike, and then Urdhage Raktapittecha Yabagur Nahite. Even at the same time, Urdhaga Raktapitta is telling. Why Urdhaga Raktapitta means there itself there is a clue like Pitta Kafadike. In case of Urdhaga Raktapitta, what is the dosha involvement? The dosha and the Nidana involvement is, it is the Snigdha Ushna Nidana, as well as a kapha association is there in case of rakta pitta. So that is why, because and generally it is a, because it is rakta pitta is always there, isn't it? That's why in urdhva rakta pitta there is a pitta and kapha predominance with the snigdha ushna nidana. So that is why he's telling urdhva rakta pitta. Actually, what is the treatment there in urdhva rakta pitta? It is tarpana, right? So that's why he's specifically telling yavago is contraindicated in case of urdhva rakta pitta also. So these are the contraindication of yavago. Actually, while giving this particular quotation, he gives a simile there, like means, so how it will be contra, or what happens once the person is taking yavago, means he's telling immediately after raining, how the soil becomes more sticky or become more pichilata. So similarly, once the pitta kafadikata is there, when this particular yavago is taken, then the doshas will become more pichilata in nature. That is why it is totally contraindicated, and there will be, even the patient will be the condition will aggravate. Okay. And next is he's telling the tarpana injvara. So that's why whenever yavago is contraindicated, the alternative intake of the, the some of the food intake is, that is in the form of tarpana. So tatra tarpana mevagre prayojyam laja saktubhihi jvarapahaihi phalarasir yuktam sa madhu sharkaram. So where yavago is contraindicated, as I have discussed previously, in such condition, tarpana with laja saktu, etc. As we know, that is the roasted powder of the grains, laja saktu. Okay. So this can be given either by adding phalarasir yuktam sa madhu sharkaram, or sometimes if according to the sakmi of the person, some of the amlarasa phala or the phalarasa can be given to the patient along with the madhu or sharkara. So that will once again alleviates the jwara. It is jwarapahaihi. So this particular tarpana is also having the property of jarapaha, and it is also nutritional. Tarpana means it is nutritional, right? So the patient will also get the instant bala here. And next is telling yusha or the mamsarasa in jvara. So at the same time, tataha satme balapekshi boje chirna tarpanam tanuna mudga yoshena jangalanam rasenava. So here the patient is already with jvara, maybe it is second day, third day, or fourth day, fifth day. So we are now, those who are indicated with the, the Vamana, Lankana, everything is over now. The Svedana, in between, they may be taking some of the Ushna Jala or like a Shadanga Paniya, etc. And after that, sometimes those who are indicated with Yavagupana, or if it is contraindicated, they will be taking this Tarpana. At least, but at the same time, the patient will be having the, weakness, isn't it? Balakshaya will be there in patients. And that is why he's telling, depending upon the habituation or the satmya, the strength of the patient, after digestion of the tarpana, the patient can be administered with a soup of mudga. Mudga in case of vegetarian, and those who are madhya satmya, you can give the mamsa, jangala mamsa rasa. Okay. Tataha satmya balapekshi bhojaye jirna tarpanam. So after having the tarpana has become jirna, then one should administer with the mudga yusha. That is a thin preparation of yusha. It should not be thick. So tanuna mudga yoshana is telling that diluted or something like which is little bit watery type of. That means that should be easily digestible or absorbed to the patient. And then jagalara rasinva. So jangala mamsarasa also can be given to the patient. Those are mamsa satmya. Okay. And also he has mentioned regarding the Dandadhavana in Jwara, like, because especially in Jwara, the patient will be almost in bed continuously. So they will not be taking much food also. And in such conditions, what happens already, they may not, if it is like, the patient's condition is very much aggravated, or severe jwara is there means, or fever is there means, they can't even take the brushing also, isn't it? So after 1 or 2 days, once they become little bit all right, then definitely they should go for the Danta Dhavana. So at least by doing this Danta Dhavana, they feel like freshness of the mouth develops, appetite for food and even drinks, and becomes capable of appreciating the taste of the food they have taken, or what otherwise whatever the satmya rasa is there, or even the either katu satmya or the tikta satmya, whatever is there, they can use the different twigs. For it is not the acharyas is mentioning for the whatever the toothbrush what we are using, but it is the twigs, maybe the karanja twig or the neem twig, whatever was there in practice previous days. So those things are mentioned here. So, and after that, the patient can be given with the mastu, ikshurasa, madhya, all those things, whatever is the patient likes. So those things can be given to the person. And next is the kashaya or the kashaya pana in jwara, in karana jwara. So there's a lot of um, questions regarding this kashaya pana in jwara. Sometimes 3 marks question, sometimes 5 marks question, or even in entrance also there will be some questions regarding this particular aspect of kashaya pana in jwara. That is, we all very well know that here the kashaya pana means it is not the kashaya kalpana, it is the kashaya rasa kashaya which is contraindicated in case of tarnajwara. Okay, so he's telling pachanam shamaniyam va kashayam payet vishat jwaritam shadahe atite lagvanna pratibhojitam. So that means here whatever we have seen the kashaya pana, that is kashaya rasa kashaya is contraindicated in jwara, but the kashaya kalpana is indicated in tarnajwara, especially tarana jwara, and after the jwara. Okay, pachanam shamaniyam va kashayam payet bishak. So after the jwaritam shadahe atite, after 6 days, if the pachanam iti amadosha pachanam, shamanam iti shamaniyam iti pakvadosha shamanam. That means after 6 days, if the patient has been have had his dosha pachana or amadosha pachana in such condition, then one can go for the shamana kashaya. If there is no pachana of the dosha, still the jwara is continuing, then you have to give pachana kashaya. So that's why 2 types of kashayas here. One is pachana kashaya, another one is shamana kashaya. So if dosha pachana has already occurred, then you can give the shamana kashaya. And if dosha pachana has not occurred, then continue with the pachana kashaya. So this is the meaning. And saptame, so one more thing here, shadahe atite lagvanna pratibhojitam. So here the commentary, it's very clearly mentioned. Saptame ahani lagvannam matraya swarupena chitat tat pratibhojitam jwaritam ashtahe ahani kashayam payediti. That means here what we have to understand is up to 6 days we are not giving any the normal food, isn't it? So we are giving with either yavagu or the tarpana preparations along with some of the either pachana kashaya or shamana kashaya. So only after the seventh day again we will be take one day as for the observation. Okay. So he's telling Jwaritam Ashtame Ahani Kashayam Payediti. So Ashtame Ahani, what happens? We are going to give the normal diet if the patient's condition is good with the relieving of Jwara. So then Shamana Kashaya can be given to the patient. So this is what you have to understand this. Pachanam Shamaniyam Va. Either Pachana, depending upon the condition. If still the dosha Pachana has not occurred, and Shamana, if already the dosha Pachana has occurred, Shamana Kashaya can be given when? That is Jwaritam Shadahe Atite, after 7 days, after 6 days. That means the Laghuvanna Pratibhojitam is on the 8 days. Okay. And Kashaya in Tarana Jwara, that happens here. That's what I have mentioned you already. And why Kashaya is contraindicated, I already told you. That is Stambhyate na vipachyante kurvanti vishama jwaram dosha baddhaha kashayena stambitvat tarune jware. So here he is telling once again, natu kalpana muddishya kashayah pratishidyate yaha kashaya kashayah syat sa varjas tarana jware. So here what happens? Stambhyate na vipachyante. Why this kashaya rasa is contraindicated? He is clearly telling that natu kalpana muddishya kashaya. So here kashaya is contraindicated means it is not the kalpana of kashaya or the kashaya kalpana. So apart from apart from this particular kashaya rasa, any other swarahara kashayas like tikta or katu kashayas can be used as a in this particular condition. Why means kashaya rasa will be causing the stambana. It will cause dosha stambana as well as na vipachyante. Dosha vipachana will not be happening here. So and it may lead to, when the dosha pachana is not happening or dosha stambana is there, it will lead to the other fever like the vishama jwara. That is why doshaha baddhaha kashayena stambitva tarane jware. So this dosha baddhata will lead to the shroto rodha and causing vishama jwara. That is why kashaya rasa is contraindicated. That's why he's telling in the second, third, fourth line, yaha kashaya syat sa varjas taranajware. Only the kashaya is contraindicated. Okay. So next is telling some of the diet. What other diet can be given in this particular condition? Yushair amlair anamlair va jangalair va rasair hitehi dashaham yavadashriyat lagvannam jwara shantiye. So here there is sometimes they tell only up to 7 days or 8 days we considered as the Taruna Jwara. But the 8th or the 9th day also will be considered by some of the acharyas, especially here also. That means up to 10th day also we can give all these things. Means after the relieving of Jwara by 6th or 7th day, the Laghuvanna will be given, isn't it? So the patient should be given with light diet along with Yusha or along with the Yusha which is prepared out of Amla or Anamla. If those who are Amla Satmya or the patient's Agni still they wanted to improve, in such conditions Amla Rasa can be added with this particular Yusha or Anamlairva. Or if you don't want to give or if they are not liking this particular salt is, then you can give plain Yusha. Then Jangalerva Rasairhitaha and Mamsa Satmya people we are giving the Mamsa Rasa. Then Dashaham Yavadashriyat Laguvannam Jwarashanti. That is what we have discussed previously. Okay. And next is the Sarpipana. Why Sarpipana has come now means now the Taruna Jwara we have seen what are the different management of Taruna Jwara up to the 7 days or even 8 to 9 days. Okay. So actually Ashtaham he is telling that is the Kala for Taruna Jwara up to 8 days. So 8th day and 9th day it will be like the observation day and then we will be giving with some of the light diet. And now comes still the person is having fever. Even after the 10 days, still the person is having fever. In such condition, so then we should understand that now the jwara has become little bit tatugata or we call it as jirna jwara. So that means here the sarpipana in jwara means we have to understand one thing that the jwara is now in jirnavastha. The taranavastha has been gone. Okay, taranavastha we could not able to manage the fever or maybe because of the mityahara vihara or maybe they have not taken proper care or proper medications might not have given by the physician, maybe whatever it may be. So, but that means now the Dhatu Gatatu of Jwara has occurred. So he's telling now, in case of Jirna Jwara, the best and the foremost medication or what we can give is the Sarpi. Okay. We'll see how the Sarpi acts or when we should give this particular Sarpi Pana. What are the indications and contraindications of Sarpi? अथ ऊर्ध्वं कफे मन्दे वातपित्तोत्तरे ज्वरे परिपक्वेषु दोषेषु सर्पिष्पानं यथा अमृतम्. Says very fantastic quotation where is mentioning the importance of sarpipana. Atha urdhvam kafe mande. See, that means we always know that in case of tarana jwara, so always the kapha pradhanata will be there, isn't it? So pitta is invariably present in jwara, but still associated dosha like no, because it is dhatvashrita, so kapha is always there. So next he is telling that whatever the treatment you have given or whatever the kashaya or the lagu anna or the yavagu, tarpana or the svedana, everything has been already done. Now, because of all these things, there may be chances of getting kapha shamana, isn't it? That's why he's telling Atha urdham kafe mande, when the kapha is in mandavastha, and vata pittotare jware. Vata pittotare jwara means whatever we have given the treatment which will be like no jwara hara, pitta hara and kapha hara, right? So because of these reason, what happens? There may be some amount of vata vruddhi will be there. So what he's telling is for giving sarpi, these are the important or the four important things are this. One is kapha manda and vata and pitta more, and then paripakveshu dosheshu. And also one more thing is the dosha should be in the paripakva avastha. In such condition, sarpishpanam yata amritam. So sarpi will act as amrita. Okay. And in the Nidana Sthana itself, Jwara Nidana, there is once again this mentioning of Sarpi is there. I have taken that quotation here to to give more importance to the Jwara or to have more knowledge regarding the Jwara. Okay, how it is means is mentioning once again. Jirna Jwareshu tu sarveshveva sarpishaha panam prashasyate. That is what we have seen here. Atha urdhvam kafe mande vata pittotre jware means after the tarana jwara, after certain time that we know that it is after 8 days or 9 days, the jwara will become dhatugata or the jirna. Still jwara is there, then we have to consider it as a jirna jwara. It's clearly mentioning in the Nidanasthana. Jirna jwareshu sarveshveva sarpishaha panam prashasyate. Yatasu aushadha siddhasya sarpihi sarpirhi snehat vatam shamayati samskarat kapha shaityat pitta mushmanat pitta mushmanam cha. Then tasma jirna jwareshu sarveshveva sarpir he tam udakam iva agni plushteshu dravyeshu iti. See how nicely he is giving this simile. So whenever the agni plushta, that means the whenever the burning is there, maybe because of some of the burn by either water or maybe directly by the fire, isn't it? Many times we all will be coming across, isn't it? While doing even in the kitchen work also, we will be having sometimes this burn, isn't it? So how the burning sensation will be feeling. So what we will do immediately, we pour water, right? So immediately the moment we will be getting the burning sensation will be subsiding. So similarly, he's telling here, Sneha Dvatam Shameti, because the Sarpi is having Sneha Dvatam Shapeti, Samskarat Kafam, because what is the medication we have used in the Sarpi preparation, that is important. Maybe if it is a Tikta Katu, drugs have been added, then it is Samskarat Kafam Jayati, as well as Shaityat Pitta Mushmanam cha. That means because of the Shitata, the Grita is always having its cooling power, isn't it? So because of its cooling power of this particular the Grita, even the Pitta will be getting relieved or it will be alleviated. So Tasmat Jirna Jwareshu Sarveshu Eva Sarpirhi Udakam Iva Agni Plushteshu Dravyeshu iti. So that's what a simile has been given. So similarly, Sneha Dvatam Shamayati Shaityat Pittam Niyachati Gritam Tulya Gunam Dosham Samskaratu Jayet Kafam. Yata Sarpiritaha Sarpihi Sarvasnehuttamam Matam. Sarpi is the best, he is telling. Always it will be the best in case of any of such conditions. So it can be specifically in the case of Jirna Jwara. Okay. And other advantage of Grita is mentioning Jwaraha, Kashayir, Vamanir, Langanir, Lagu Bhojanehi, Rukshasya, Yena Shamyanti, Sarpis Tesham Vishajjitam, Ruksham, Tejo, Jwarakaram, Tejasa, Rukshitasya cha, Yaha, Syadanubalo Dhatuhu, Snehavadyaha, Sa cha Anilaha. See, so many important things we are understanding with respect to Grita or the Grita intake. So only that's why it is not in the initial stage of the Jwara, that is in the Taranavastha. It is very clear that it is in the Jirna Avastha. So what he is telling is by your Kashaya, by the different types of elimination of doshas, maybe by Vamana or even by Langhana, or with your Lagu Bhojana in the form of Yavagu or Tarpana, and whatever the Ruksha, okay, Rukshasya, Yena na Shamyati. With all these things, you could not able to, relieve the Jwara, then Sarpis Tesham Vishagjitam, then only the Sarpi can do the better, better, Sarpi will be the better treatment, he's telling. That means the medicated ghee. Okay. So how the Jwara, what is the cause of Jwara and how it alleviates, he's telling here. Ruksham Tejo Jwarakaram. In order to get Jwara, always stages or the Pitta is important, or the hot heat is important, isn't it? So Ruksham Tejo Jwarakaram. So with already for the Jwara to happen, Pitta is important, and Tejasa Rukshitasya. Once again, because of the intense heat in the body, still the body will become Ruksha, isn't it? So Ruksham Tejo Jwarakaram, Tejasa Rukshitasya cha, Yaha Syad Anubalo Dhatuhu, Sneha Vadyaha Sa cha Anilaha is telling. That means, so this particular ghee will be acting as Anubhala, because the dhatus or the tissues will be now getting weakened. So what happens here, when you use this particular ghee in the form of medicated ghee, then this particular ghee will be giving strength to our tissues, and it will be Snehavadyaha Sacha Anilaha. So in such conditions, what happens? It will also relieve the Vata. Okay. So this is how the Grita will be helpful in the Jirna Jwara Avastha. And even this Sarpi is contraindicated in conditions wherein Nirdashahamapi Jnatva Kafotaram Alingitam Na Sarpihi Paye Dvaidyaha Kashayestam Anupacharit. So here he is telling ghee should not be given to Jwara patient even after the 10th day if the Kapha dosha still predominates and if the signs and symptoms of well accomplished Langana have not appeared. So there are two things here. One is Nirdashaham api Jnatva. We know that after 10 days we are, and compulsory we are calling the Jwara as Jirna Jwara. So he's telling Nirdashaham api Jnatva. Even after the 10 days, if you find that the Kapha predominance is there, whatever the medications you have given, whatever the diet you have planned, with that also the Kapha has not relieved. And Kafotaram alingitam. One more thing is the Langhana Lakshanas are not seen in the patient. The Lagutva, isn't it? The Amapachana. So such a thing is not seen in the patient. Na sarpihi paye dvaityaha kashayestam upacharet. So in such conditions, one should not go for the Sapipana, but he has to continue with the Kashayapana. So we have seen already the Kashayapana here means it is the Pachana Kashaya, because already here the dosha paka has not attained. So for the Sarpi, one more indication is dosha pakva, paripakveshu dosheshu, isn't it? So here what happens? The Kafotara is there, still Kapha predominance is there, and Alingata or the Langhana Lakshanas has not seen in the patient. That means you have to understand the dosha pakvata is not happened, isn't it? So such conditions you have to give it the Pachana Kashaya. So this is the meaning here. Okay. And next is telling Mamsarasa Prayoga, in which condition you have to give this particular Mamsarasa. Yavat Lagutvad Ashanam Dadyan Mamsarasena cha Balam Helam Nigrahaya Doshanam Balakrityatat. So here what happens? So till the features of Langana appears in the body, the patient should be given light food for the digestion. Okay, so or the whatever the food you want to give, it should be very light so that it will digest easily. So along with the meat soup of the Jangala Mamsarasa, he's telling. Okay. So Yavat Lagutva Dashanam Dadyan Mamsarasenva, along with the light diet, you have to give the Mamsarasa in order to relieve the regain the strength, because balam helam nigrahaya doshana balakricha. So this particular mamsa rasa will be having it will act as a bala or strength, and helam nigrahaya, here it will have it will instantly it will improve the bala of the tissues, as well as it will destroy the doshas here, aggravated doshas, and uh, and further it will become a balakrit, or it will improves the or promotes the strength of the body. That is the importance of mamsarasa prayoga. And next is telling the kshira prayoga. So we have already seen okay. So here the kshira prayoga is when the patient is still after the even the snehapana is there, or after your all the other treatments is done, still the jwara continuous. And what happens by the time the jwara continuous, what happens, the patient will be very much weak, and there will be predominance of daha trishna, okay, and even the vata and pitta will be more. In such conditions, you can go for a kshira pana in the form of pana, or in the form of later it will come like a for a niruha, etc. We can use this particular kshira. So we'll see what is the importance or how it will be beneficial. So daha trishna paritasya vata pittotaram jwaram baddha prachuta dosham va niramam payasa jayet. So one, two, three things are there here. That is daha trishna paritasya. When the patient is having so much of burning sensation or internal, that particular heat is there, and trishna is there, and vata pittotara jwara, because already since many days the patient is continuously suffering with fever. In such condition, what happens, the vata will be predominant, and even the pitta also, isn't it? And baddha prachuta dosham va, and baddha and prachuta dosha, there are two things. I will come to this later. One more is niramam payasa jayet. It should not be ama, okay, it should be nirama avastha, okay. In such condition, what happens here, baddha and prachuta dosha. What is baddha dosha, what is prachuta dosha? So baddha prachuta dosham vedyatra baddha doshatvam apravartamana doshatvam. So baddha dosha means there is shroto rodha, or the doshas are not eliminating properly, okay. So that is baddha dosha, that is apravartaka dosha, apravartana is there. And prachuta dosham to stokena pravartana doshatvam. So here what happens, this second condition, prachuta dosha, means the doshas are eliminating out, but it is not completely. So stokena, stoka matrena means it is little by little quantity, or very little quantity will be going out. So both are not good, isn't it? So completely there is no elimination of doshas, and only little elimination of doshas frequently. So in both the condition, either it is incomplete or it is totally it is not at all eliminating. So that's why baddha prachuta dosha. So in both the conditions, this particular kshira will be helping to relieve the shrotoroda, or to eliminate the doshas out from the body easily. That's why this is very, very important. Even usually what happens when the patient is having jwara, even at home at all, like, or even at the it is a talk, even the elders also will be telling, isn't it? Because he is having fever or she is having fever, don't give milk because it may not get digest. Yes, they are correct. Up to 6 or 7 days or 8 days. Now, after 6 to 7 days or 8 days, once the patient is very much weak, but still what happens, there will be jwara. But here, even the dosha avastha is not very, what you can call the, elimination of doshas is not there. How will you understand? There is no proper elimination of mutra, purisha or vata, isn't it? So they will be having that particular difficulties. In such conditions, you can give the milk in little more quantity to give again and again, so that there will be proper elimination. Because as we know, the milk also will act as a virechana, or a what you can, it is like a sramsana or a mradu rechana, isn't it? So that is the specificity of milk. So that's why he is telling. And what type of milk is also very clearly mentioned here. Tatra kshiram tavad yata badde pravartakam bhavati. Okay, the kshira what you can give, what you are giving will be alleviating the doshas out in case of completely block. Okay, so yatha badde pravartakam bhavati. When the doshas are completely baddha, the milk what you are giving will be act as a anulomana here. So what type of means? There are two types of kshira he is mentioning here. That is, one is gavya kshira and another one is aja kshira. So always baddha doshe gavyam kshiram. Okay. So baddha doshe gavyam kshiram saratvad deyam. So this particular gavya kshira is having the saratva property. That is why in case of baddha dosha, you give lot of gavya kshira so that it will act as a pravartaka or as a anulomaka. Okay. And he's telling prachutetu sangrahitva chagam deyam. So the chaga or the what you can, the chaga means that is the goat's milk, or the especially the chaga specifically mentions, I think that is the sheep. Okay, so prachutetu sangrahitva. So this particular chaga uh, kshira will be acting as a sangrahi, because here what happens, prachuta dosham, that means stokena pravartamana dosha, isn't it? So that means here frequently it is going not in a proper way. In such condition, you have to add sangrahi, isn't it? So there are very, very important thing what you have to understand. Yes, whenever you feel the patient tells you like incomplete motions they are passing or incomplete doshas they are passing, then such condition you can tell them to give this particular chaga kshira. Or if there is completely the stabdata is there, or the dosha or the vata mutra purishas are not at all eliminating, in such condition you can give the gavya kshira. Okay. So daha trishna paritasya vata pittotram juram baddha prachuta dosham va niramam payasa jayet. And similarly, so this is what I have explained to you. And the next step is still whatever the medications, the kshira prayoga has been done, the sarpipana has been done, everything you have done along with the other medications, but still the jwara is not at all relieving. Then what you have to do? Then specifically you have to go for this particular virechana, that is kriyabhirabihi prashamam na prayati yada jwaraha akshina balamamsagnehi samayetam virechnehi. So kriyabhirabihi prashamam na prayati yada jwaraha. Kriyabhirabihi means whatever the different kinds of treatment methods you have adopted in order to relieve the jwara, but still na prayati yada jwaraha. Prashamam na prayati. The jwara is not getting relieved. In such condition, akshina balamamsagnehi shamayetam virechnehi. If the patient's bala is good, akshina bala mamsa. Akshina bala mamsa is patient is very strong, isn't it? Having very good bala mamsa and even very good agni. That means a very good strong patient with good agni. Then you can go for the virechana. So he's telling virechanair iti bahuvachanena vamana virechana api grahyate. So virechana here means always. So both the things you have to take. Virechana commonly when we tell, it will be vamana virechana, because dosha haratvat virechana here, right? So that's why according to the condition of the patient, if it is kapha predominance utkrishta avastha urdu amashya, go for vamana. Or if it is like pittashya gamana, or the doshas are in the pittashya or in the adho amashya, then go for the virechana. So that's what he's saying. So that means virechana in jwara sometimes 3 marks like it may come. In such conditions, what you have to write? After having all the other treatments, still the jwara continues. Then if the patient is strong with good agni, then you can go for this particular virechana line of treatment. Okay. Next comes the niroha, or the kshira prayoga once again, or in the form of kshira, in the form of peya, or in the form of niroha. Okay. So jwara kshinasya nahitam vamanam na virechanam kamam tu payasa tasya nirohirva harenmalan. We have seen the previous condition wherein virechana is indicated after having all other treatments. If the jwara is still continuing, then you can go for virechana if the patient is strong and having good agni. But at the same time, jwara kshinasya nahitam. Jwara kshinasya, that means because of the jwara since 10 days or 12 days or 13 days, because even the sarpipana over, everything is over, right? Still the patient is having fever. In condition, what happens? They will be totally, or the body will be totally weak, isn't it? In such condition, what na hitam vamanam na virechanam. Now both the virechana is not possible. Now what you are going to do? kamam tu payasa tasya niruhirva harenmala. In such condition, what you have to do is administration of milk, especially in the form of niruha. It will clears uh, the whatever the obstructed doshas will be relieved out. ज्वरक्षीणस्य शोधनमुक्त्वा ज्वरक्षीणस्य शोधनमः ज्वरक्षीण इत्यादि पयस इति पयः पानेन सो कामं तु पयसा तस्य निरुहेर्वा so here va means either payas pana okay payah pana or niruha with payas so both are there that's why he is telling payase iti payah panena payastva anulomakataya doshaharam bhavati. So one is either payapana as we have, and now we understood, isn't it? Shira prayoga we have already seen. So either in the form of pana and still somebody may be, reluctant to take the payas, then you can go for the niruha, okay, along with the payas. Then he is telling niruho palamagnincha vijvaratvam mudam ruchim paripakveshu dosheshu prayuktaha shigramavahe. So what is the indication of niruha here? Niruho, so paripakveshu dosheshu prayuktaha. When the doshas are in pakvavastha, but still jvara is there, isn't it? In such condition, when you give the niruha basti with payas, there will be immediate, instant bala will be regained to the patient because jvara kshinasya we have seen, isn't it? So here the patient will regain immediate bala. Along with it will give balam agrimcha vijvaratvam mudam ruchim. That means it will promotes the strength and power of digestion, alleviates fever and causes happiness and brings relishness of the food. Niruhe balam agrimcha vijvaratvam. So it will relieve the jvara because the doshas has been totally cleared out from the pakvashya, right? So that's why the patient will feel the agni and the immediate strength because niruha when it gives along with the paya it will also act as a santarpana also, isn't it? Because it is the type of paya you are adding, accordingly it will act also, and it will give some muda or the happiness and the ruchim, or he will also develop the taste. Okay, so this is the indication of niruha or the kshira. Then samsana and basti in case of jvara. So here what happens? Pittam va kapha pittam va pittashaya gatam haret sramsanam trinmalan bastir haret pakvashaya sthitam. So that means purgation or this particular sramsana line of treatment or samsana will eliminate the kapha or kapha pitta dosha from the pittashaya. Pittam va kapha pittam va pittashayam haret. So kapha pitta as well as kapha pitta or the kapha pitta doshas, aggravated doshas, when it is in the pittashaya, this sramsana will be helpful. Sramsana may be in the form of the kshirapana, isn't it? So that will be in the form of kshira will be helping in relieving the doshas. That means either pitta or kapha pitta, which is in pittashaya, this sramsana will be helping to relieve out. Okay. Then Treen Malan Bastir Haret Pakvashya Sitan. So that's why now, see, this is the connection of the previous one. We have seen here the Niruha or the Kshira Prayoga. That means here the Payaha Pana, either in the form of Pana or in the form of Niruha. When you give Paya Pana, then whatever the Pitta or the Kapha Pitta which is there in the Pakvashya will be taken out. So we have to understand the condition of the patient. Where is the doshas are residing? That means whether it is the predominance of pitta and kapha dosha or it is all the three doshas are aggravated here. If only pitta and kapha dosha, then and it is present in the pittashaya, then you can go for the payapana. So it will act as a sramsana and directly the doshas will be relieved out. Okay. And if at all the three doshas are involved or aggravated, and if it is present in the pakvashaya, then you can go for the niruha with the payas. So that is what you have to understand with this particular quotation. Okay. And anuvasana. So when you have to go for what is the indication of anuvasana? Jvare purane sankshine kafapitte dridagniye ruksha baddha purishaya pradadyat anuvasanam. So in chronic type of fever, that is the jirna jvara, right? The anuvasana should be given in the specific conditions like when kapha and pitta are alleviated. Jvare purane sankshine kapha pitte dridhagneye. Okay. And when there is a strong power of digestion. So here kapha and pitta, which are already alleviated, and the power of digestion is very good, then ruksha bhadda purishaya pradadyat anuvasanam. So here the kapha and pitta is less, and and at the same time that means the vata is more, isn't it? And there is a baddhata, or the purisha baddhata will be there, constipation may be there, rukshata may be there, isn't it? In such condition, one can go for the anuvasana basti. Okay, when there is rukshata in the body, when there is dosha baddhata is there, and vata is, we have to understand there is increase of vata, isn't it? Vata aggravation. Hence we can go for the अनुवासन बस्ति ज्वरे पुराणे संक्षीणे कफपित्ते दृढाग्नये रुक्षबद्ध पुरीषाय प्रदद्यात् अनुवासनम्. And next he is telling the nasya karma in jwara. So these are all the things in different conditions. We cannot give all these treatments to one patient, right? So that all depends upon the avastha of the patient. We have to understand whether it is a tarana jwara or it is a jirna jwara, or sometimes what happens, it will be repeatedly the jwara will be coming after becoming dhatugata, isn't it? So in all these conditions, depending upon the signs and symptoms, depending upon the avastha of the disease, avastha of the patient, or aggravation of the doshas, or the dosha anubandhata, or dhatugatata of the jwara, everything we have to calculate, and the time duration, or the the chronicity of the fever, we have to give different types of the treatment methods mentioned in the samhita. Okay, so even in Jwara, whether the Nasya is helpful or not, we will have a question, right? So he's telling when it is indicated. Gaurave Shirasa Shule Vibhaddeshu Indriyeshu Cha Jirna Jware Ruchikaram Kuryan Murda Virechanam. So still, even after Jwara, what happens? Now we are now living in the present COVID era, right? So there are in many people, like the different people are suffering from different kinds of signs and symptoms. Few people are having after the COVID, the fever, no? So they will be having joint pains. Few have edema in their body. Few have, indigestion problems. Few will be having the, something related with the neurological aspects, and few will be like something they will be having continuous, shirashula I am having, or they always feel like heaviness or intake of food. They were not having the feeling like to take the food. So there are different kinds of presentations by different people, isn't it? So it is not that one particular symptom or the a set of symptoms is common in the patients of the COVID, those who have already got positive, isn't it? So that means the jwara will be, the severity of the jwara or the dosha involvement or the dhatu involvement will be different from different persons, isn't it? So in such condition, when the particular fever, which even after the after subsiding the fever also, sometimes still the remnants of doshas will be there, no? In such conditions, whenever the patient feels like gaurave shirasaha, that means heaviness in the head, or even chula or vibhaddeshu indriyeshu cha. So indriya vibhaddata means what is that? That means here sometimes what will happen, the sense organs, the clarity may not be very this thing, isn't it? Or the sense organs will not have its perception properly in such conditions, and what we can call the indriya prasada, isn't it? It is not there. In such conditions, jirna jware ruchikaram kuryan murda virechanam. Then in such conditions, murda virechana, or the virechanika type of nasya will be helpful, which will also increase the ruchi. Okay. So next, after telling all this internal treatment, now we have come across the total Tarana Jwara Chikitsa, and after that Jirna Jwara Chikitsa. So you have to always understand in the Jwara chapter, the different types of Jwara they have mentioned. So now only for the Jirna Jwara as well as the Tarana Jwara, they have mentioned the total line of treatments. So now still we have left with so many other things like the Vishama Jwara treatments, Sannipata Jwara treatments, Agantuja Jwara treatments, isn't it? Dhatugata or the Dhatugata Jwara treatments, all those things are left over. So in this two types, that is Tarana Jwara as well as the Jirna Jwara, still the patient is having, persisting with fever, or even still the patient is, feeling weak. In such condition, or still there are two types of fever, as you know, that is Dahakrut the Shitabhipraya Jwara or Ushnabhipraya Jwara, isn't it? In case of Shita Jwara, the patient will be having Ushnabhiprayata. In case of Ushna Jwara, the patient will be having Shitabhiprayata. So depending upon the two types of Jwara, what are the different Bahiparimarjana treatments or the external treatments can be done in the case of Jwara. So here afterwards he is going to explain what is the Bahiparimarjana Chikitsa in the Jwara. So as we know, as in modern also, when there is a severe fever, maybe 102, 103 degree, isn't it? 104. So they will tell immediately they start with the tepid sponging, right? So similarly, modern, of course, they have only this particular tepid sponging with the help of water or cold water, isn't it? But we have lot of other, methods, or there are so many other techniques or medications we can use for the Shitabhipraya Jwara or the Ushnabhipraya Jwara, whatever it may be. The different type of methods for or different types of medications are being mentioned. We'll see what are those things. Okay. Abhyangascha Pradehascha. Sorry. Yeah. Abhyangascha Pradehascha Parisheka Avagahane Vibhajya Shitoshna Kratam Kurya Jirne Jware Bishak. तैराशु प्रशमं याति बहिर्मार्गगतो ज्वरः लभन्ते सुखमङ्घानि बलं वर्णश्च वर्तते. So here telling अभ्यंग प्रदेहाश्च परिषेक अवगाहने विभज्य शीतोष्णकृतं कुर्यात् जीर्णे ज्वरे bishak. So the jwara being jirna jwara, that is one thing that is very important, isn't it? Jwara being jirna jwara, and you have to understand the two types of jwara, that is shita ushnakrita, shitakrita or ushnakrita jwara. So similarly, depending upon the different drugs which is needed, you can do the abhyanga pradeha parisheka avagaha. Abhyanga pradeka parisheka avagaha by understanding the shitakrita jwara or ushnakrita jwara, the different drugs should be used. So if you use like that, what happens? Tairashu prashamam yati bahirmargagato jwaraha. So the bahirmargagata jwara will be instantaneously relieved by this type of the different abhyanga, pradeha, parisheka or avagaha by using proper the what you can call the whatever the drug which is needed. When you add that, that will be having very good relief. Labante sukha manghani balam varnascha vardate, because by bala varna has been mentioned means here after, because it is a jirna jwara condition, right? So it is a chronic fever. So definitely the patient will have the angaglani or angamarda, or he will lose his bala and even the varna, because whenever we are not taking food properly for at least 2 to 3 days, or we have some other, what you can call the weakness, immediately the complexion also will get reduced, isn't it? So, but when you do with this abhyanga, pradeha, parisheka, avagaha, etc., according to the avastha, whether it is shitakrita or ushnakrita, by adding the proper the drugs over there, then definitely labante sukha mangani balam varnascha vardate. Okay, and in continuation of this Bahiparimarjana Chikitsa is also telling Dupana Anjana Prayogascha, Anjana Yogascha, Yanti Jirna Jwaraha Shamam, Twang Matra Avashesha Yeshamcha, Bhavanti Aganturanvayaha. So Dupana Anjana Yogescha, Yanti Jirna Jwaraha Shamam. So definitely, even at home also we will be doing it, isn't it? Jwara, after so many days, still it is persisting, or it will come to the other members in the family also. Now what we are doing in the COVID era, isn't it? We always will daily go for the Dupa Prayoga or even Anjana Prayoga, isn't it? And then even the Twang Matra Shesha Yeshamcha. So the jwara located in the skin, maybe in the form of the cause may be the Agantu, isn't it? So like a COVID, isn't it? In such condition also, this Dupana Anjana Prayoga will be helpful. Okay. And next is telling what are the common diet you can give in this particular condition of jwara. Rakta Shalya Deha Shastaha Purana Shashtikehi Saha Yavagu Odana Lajarte Jwaritanam Jwarapahaha. So the Rakta Shali, Shastika Shali, type of Purana Shali. Okay. So whatever the Rakta Shali or the Shastika Shali you are using, it should be Purana. Okay, so then only it will be Snigdha and it is Vatahara, or it will not be Pittakara in nature, isn't it? Or it will not become indigestion. So easily digestible this will become. That is the importance of Purana. Shashtika Isaha. Yavagu Odana Lajarthi in the form of Yavagu, in the form of Odana, in the form of Laja. Okay, so all these things can be given in the case of Jwara, as it will act as a Jwarapaha. And the 10 types of Yavagu is very, very important. I don't want to go to the details of this 10 types, but important things he'll be mentioning like Laja Payam, Sukha Jaram, Pippali, Nagarai Shrutam, Pibe Jwari, Jwarahara, Shudu, Shudwa, Shuddu Anala, Alpa, Agniraditehi. Okay. So that means Laja Paya or along with the Pippali and Nagara, etc. Here, Amlabilashi Tameva, Dadimamlam Sa Nagaram, Srishtavit Paitiko Vata, Shitam Samadhyutam Pibets. Here what happens? Those who are Amla Satmya, so that those people can be added with the Dadima Amla, etc. along with Nagara, can be added to the type of Yavago and then give in the form of either along with the Madhu, etc. can be given to the patient, especially in case of Shita, I mean Pitta. And Peyam va Raktashalina, Pashva Basti, Shiroruji, Shwadamshtra Kantakaribyam, Siddham Jwaraharam Pibit. So the different kind of the drugs have been mentioned like the Shwadamshtra, Kantakari, etc. In case of Pashva Shula, Shiroruja, etc. Here the Dadima, Amla, Nagara, etc. has been mentioned. And next he is mentioning the 10 types of Yavagu, wherein the Jwarati Sari Peyamba Pibit Sa Amlam Shrutam Naraha Prishni Parni Bala Bilva Nagara Utpala Dhanyakaihi. So similarly, the different kind of Yavagu has been mentioned, especially here Vibadha Varchaha Sa Yavam Pippal Yamalake Shrutam Sarpirmatim Sarpishmatim Pibit Peya Jwari Doshanulomanim. So Doshanulomana, wherein the dosha baddhata is there, in such condition you can use the different kind of drugs. Poshte vibhadde saruji pibet peyam shrutam juri mradvika pippali moola chavya amalaka nagarahi. So these are all easily available drugs which can be used while preparation of the Yavagus. Okay, and the continuation same thing. And next is telling Yusha or the, as we have, so this is already has been discussed the different Yavago, but here he is mentioning the different drugs used in the preparation of Yavago and Yusha preparation, etc. So the Mudga, Masuras, Chanakan, Pulattan, Sa Makushtakan, Yusharte, Yusha Satmyanam, Joritanam, Pradapi. What are the different kind of grains you are going to use in this particular Yusha preparation? And next the Shaka, like Patola Patram, Sa Phalam, Pulakam, Papachelikam. Papachelika is Pata. Karkotakam, Katilam cha, Vidya, Chakam, Jware, Hitam. So all the six shakas can be given here. And Mamsa Rasa Prayoga, the different types of Mamsa he has mentioned here. Lava, Kapinjala, Ena, then Enam, Chakora, Upakunchika, or Chakraka, Kuranga, Kalapucha, Harina. The Kalapucha is once again the variety of Harina only. So similarly, so it will be Mamsa Satmyaya Jwaritaya Jwarapaham. Isha Damlan Anamlan va Rasan Kale Vichakshanaha. Those who are habituated to or Satmya, having Satmya to this particular Mamsa Rasa. So whatever he has mentioned, this can be given along with either Amla or without any Amla. And according to some people, they are telling that Ukutamsha, Mayuramsha, Chichiri, Kraunja, Vartakan, Gurushnan, Tvat na shasanti or Samshanti, Jware, Kechit, Chikisakaha. So because this Kukuta, Mayura, Titira, etc. are having Guru and Ushna nature, so in this condition, according to few physicians, this type of Mamsarasa cannot be given. But again, they are telling Langanena Anilabalam Jware Yadyadikam Bhavit Vishang Matra Vikalpajnu Tadyat Tanapi Kalavit. So if the Jwara, if the Vayu gets aggravated because of the Langana, then the physician acquainted with the signs of the doshas should give the meat soup of these animals also at appropriate time. That means he is telling to give Mamsarasa always, because our first aim of the treatment will be Langana, isn't it? So Langanena Anila Balam Jure. So what happens? Because of the Langanadikrama which has been adopted in the Jwara, definitely there will be Vata Prakop. In such condition, one can use the Mamsarasa. And next is telling the Anupana or the different beverages which can be given to the patient in Jara. There is, as we know, the common one is Garmambu, that is Ushna Jala, cha Anupanartham, Trashitaya Pradapayet, Madhyam va Madhya Satmyaya Yata Dosham Yata Balam. Always it is best to give the Ushna Jala, or even the patient of Madhya Satmya, if they can't even, you know, this abstinence from this Madhya, little quantity of Madhya can be given by seeing their Bala and the Avastha of the dosha. And contraindications, the general contraindication what in Jara is Gurushna Snigdha Maduran Kashayamscha Navajware Aharan Dosha Paktyartham Prayashaha Parivarjayet. So whatever the food you are giving, it should not be Guru, it should not be too much of Ushna, it should not be too much of Snigdha, it should not be too much of Madura, or it should not be Kashaya Rasa here. So these should be probably you have to avoid in order to do the dosha paka, in order to support the dosha paka, isn't it? Gurushna snigdha maduran kashayamscha navajware aharan dosha paktyartham prayashaha parivarchayet. So these type of food, including guru, ushna, snigdha, madura, kashaya. Okay, so these type of food should be avoided in case of Karana Jwara, where we have to accelerate the dosha paka or we have to support the dosha paka. So this should be parivarchana, or you have to do the varchana of these things. Then the different type of the Vishama Jwara Chikitsa has been going to explain hereafter. So coming to the Vishama Jwara, as we know, according to Charaka, is mentioning 5 types of Vishama Jwara, that is Santata, Satata, Anyadoshka, Tritiyaka, and Chaturthaka. But according to Shushruta, he mentions there are 6 types of Vishama Jwara, where one more he will be adding as Pralepaka Jwara. Okay, the Pralepaka Jwara that is added by Shushruta. So here he is mentioning a different Kashaya preparations. Okay, so this is very, very important. Everywhere sometimes they will be asking, or it may be in the entrance exam also many a times. So here you can see in the end, Kashayaha Shamayanti Ashu Pancha Vidanjuran Santatam Satatam Anyedushkum Anyedyur Tritiyaka Chaturtakan. So the same order it has been mentioned here. Kalingakaha Patolasya Patram Katukarohini is for Santata Jwara. Patola Sariva Musta Pata Katukarohini for Satata Jwara. Nimba Patola Stripala Mradvika Mustaka Vasako, that is for the Anyadushka. Kirata Tiktamrita Chandana Vishwabeshajam for the Tritiyaka Jwara, and Gurushi Amalaka Musta is for the Chaturtaka Jwara. So these are the order of the Kashaya for the specific Jwara. So this is very, very important. Either you can by heart or you can just remember this. But I think simply it is not possible to remember. So if by hearting the shloka will be easier for you. Okay, and these are the things which will be easily available also. Even you can use this. So in the different kinds of, especially we know the Vishama Jwara is always almost, it is like exogenous in factor, or it may be the dosha because of the internal dosha, right? So in order to aggravate the internal dosha also, or the initiation of internal dosha also, will be because of the external factors many times. Maybe it is like a Bhuta Bhishanga Jwara, or the due to the microorganisms, right? The COVID, etc. So this, by understanding the nature of the different kinds of Jwara, that is better to we can adopt these kind of kashayas. Okay. And next is telling Agantur Anubandhohi Prayasho Vishama Jware Mata Pradhanam Sarpir Vastibihi Sa Anuvasanehi Snigdoshnir Annapanescha Samayed Shamayed Vishamajwaram. So here what happens? As I told you, there will be always Agantur Anubandha, or like it may be like Bhutabhishanga. Okay, so maybe with the Anubandha of the Bhuta or the microorganisms. In such condition of the Vishamajwara, if you are feeling that, or the patients are exhibiting the Vata Pradhana symptoms, then you can give the